Hello, and thank you for tuning into another episode of the podcast. I'm sorry for the strange intro. I just had to film something on my phone really quick so I can add to the start of this video. And just let you all know as listeners that in this episode, we do explore the topic of energy consumption, AI, and global warming. Obviously, that's a pretty heavy topic, and in this episode, it's only very briefly discussed. Since we filmed this episode, a lot of new research and data has come out surrounding the implications that AI has on global warming and just energy consumption in general. And so, since seeing more of this research, we are going to do an extended topic and conversation about this in a future episode. And so I just wanted to let you all know as listeners that what you're listening to in this episode does not fully depict all of the information about that topic. It's obviously a very heavy topic, a very important topic to us, protecting our planet, protecting humanity. And so we just felt like it was a very important note to add at the start of this video before you dive in, because we want to make sure that you as listeners are getting the most informed and educated information that we have access to, because that's our goal, keep everyone informed. So with that being said, I hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you for tuning into another episode. We're so glad you're here, and you have a great day.
What's up, y'all, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today's episode, we're discussing humanity and AI. I'm your host, Alex.
And I'm Drew, and welcome to Humanity First, your AI podcast.
Welcome back. Yeah. We're excited to be here. Today's episode, we did come up with an outline for the episode, kind of as we do for every episode, but I think that we both agreed right before we started recording that this is going to be just a raw episode. We're going to jump around. It's going to be emotional. We're going to discuss realities and also predictions and have hard topics about what's happening.
Well, you know, when we were discussing the series, and this was months ago, we were talking about like what episodes and what order. We discussed humanity first, like this episode specifically, and we created an agenda behind it. I think we quickly realized that I don't know how much that agenda is going to apply, because as we started to talk, we realized there is a lot that is happening, and there's a lot that we've got to talk about.
Yep.
And so, and it's even broader than just talking about technology and the innovation that's happening. It's about humans. It's about humanity, and just how serious this change, this AI revolution. And I want to educate people, and I'm not going to harp on this, but if you don't know about the Industrial Revolution, I encourage you to look into it and look at the innovation that came from that, because we're in the AI revolution.
Yep.
And it is going to happen much faster because of the technology that we have, which is exciting, but it's also, there's a lot of realities that we have to face. And I think that's the whole premise of this specific episode today and where we're going moving forward.
Well, before we get into it, we're going to start every episode with our news segment.
Absolutely.
News of the week, AI news that we need to keep you updated on. Again, we're not going to spend too much time talking about this because we really want to get into what we have planned for the episode.
Yeah.
So up first in AI news of the week, Google highlighting concerns in Gemini's safety features compared to Claude. Something to keep an eye on, because that is a really big topic with humanity and moving forward. Protection and safety of use. Making sure that it's being ethical still. So we're going to talk about that. Up next, OpenAI and Microsoft have agreed to terms developing and defining AGI, which is artificial general intelligence.
I read an article about this week. That's a whole other episode. I'm not going to start.
That's something exciting to talk about. This isn't necessarily a new agreement. They actually came back to 2023 and had this agreement, but as OpenAI is surfacing and becoming a bigger thing that people are using, a bigger piece of technology, it's something to keep an eye on for sure. What's the word? Deal. That deal.
Yeah.
Finally, up in AI news of the week, Trump has appointed, I do apologize for the pronunciation of the name, I'm going to try my best here, Sriram Krishnan as his AI senior policy advisor. So we do have an AI office in the government now.
Officially.
Something to keep an eye on as well. But before we get into the actual episode, finally, our gratitudes.
Heck yeah. I'll start, and I just want to say that I am grateful for what you and I are creating here. I'm grateful for this space, and I'm grateful that I know the positive impact that Humanity First and that this series is going to have. And I am very, very excited to watch this grow and watch this help a lot of people. And to be in this position, to sit in this chair beside you, it's a moment of reflection, but it is also a huge gratitude for me to just share this space and to do what I love, which is help people. Yeah.
Just grateful for community.
Yeah.
Grateful for my family, friends, stable career at the moment, even with the integration of AI. Just thankful for everything that life has provided me up to this point.
Yeah.
And excited and grateful to be on a new journey with you and with the AI space and educating myself in new ways.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
It is fun.
It's also scary.
Which is why we're keeping it raw and real today.
Yeah. So I kind of want to kick off this conversation. We talked a little bit before this episode about humanity and energy efficiency when it comes to AI. And I think that's a really big topic because something you brought up that I was like, I had no idea this was a thing. And you sent me an article from, what was it?
I don't know. I've sent you so many articles, but
you do send me a lot of articles. Oh man, let me pull it up. You go ahead and start.
Well, I know. I just, to address that, this is the space that I am in. The company that I work for, we optimize the GPUs. Creating GPUs, the graphic processing unit, is incredibly draining on our environment. I had
no idea.
It is a huge energy consumption. And in addition to it being a huge energy consumption, most GPUs are not even utilized at 100%. They're like 30 to 40%. And that's major corporations. If you chat GPT it right now and ask what the utilization for a GPU is, which means how much are we getting out of it? We're only getting 30 to 40%, and it's that much of a drain. That is a problem. And so my company, we get the utilization up to, we can do 100%. We don't advertise that, but it's 95%. And what that does is that allows these processors to actually be utilized properly and efficiently, so that we're not having to create a bunch of more GPUs to offset the lack of utilization.
It's just crazy to think about. And we're talking energy consumption, like physical energy consumption, not technology like GPUs as well, but we're talking about like physical energy, like the gas you put in your car. We're talking about solar energy. We're talking about energy consumption for AI.
Yep.
And it's just something I didn't think about. Because you think about AI as like, to me, when I first started thinking about AI, it's a website.
Yeah.
It's something I can access by going to the web. But it is a physical thing that is... Talk to me. Because I'm very uneducated on this. I want to be real. For someone, like, as a listener to the podcast, I am with them and like, you need to educate me on this. I don't know what's happening.
I will keep it high level because I do think this is a complete episode for us. Like, this is something that we're going to have to talk about because it is so relevant and important. I do feel that while right now, yes, it is a huge energy consumption, a huge drain. As companies like mine help alleviate that, release some of that pressure that we're experiencing in the energy consumption, I do feel that we're going to be able to create solutions for these problems and have a more eco-conscious, platform. Yeah. I don't even know if that's the right word, but I am optimistic that with the advancement of artificial intelligence will also be the advancement of saving our planet, Mother Earth. And while right now we're in a space that it is not really good, thankfully companies like mine exist and we're able to help the utilization. And additionally, we're going to find solutions to this through AI.
Well, speaking of gratitudes, I'm grateful for a company like the one you work at that's focusing on these problems early on.
Yes.
Like, we're not leaving it as a problem we're going to deal with 2 years from now.
Right.
It is something that exists, something we're putting at the forefront of thought and dealing with right away.
Well, absolutely. And my company, so the founder, he saw this problem 4 years ago.
That's awesome.
And created a solution, created a software, and yeah, it is awesome. I'm really encouraged, and it was one of the I don't want to say selling points, but it was one of the selling points for me in taking this new role, because I do care about that. And I think a lot of people our age and hell, a lot of people in general care about the energy consumption and Mother Earth.
Absolutely. And I think it's a double-edged sword, that what I'm about to say, but I think AI is going to find a lot of practical solutions to our energy consumption and making it renewable and efficient. And the other side of that too is AI is going to consume a lot of energy. Like I read an article recently, which by the way, the article you sent me was from New York Post, posted on Christmas Day.
Oh yeah.
Funny enough, December 25th, a couple days ago. And another article that I read recently was talking about the NVIDIA servers and how much power just the NVIDIA servers can use. Like it was either Greenland or the Netherlands, more energy consumption than the entire country in a year.
Wow.
That's how much energy that NVIDIA servers are pulling. And that's not like a dig at NVIDIA. That's not a bad thing.
Would you send me that article?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I have access to it. But it's in, I'll go ahead and link it in the YouTube description too if you want to read it on your own. But excuse me. What I was trying to get at with that is just like, that's crazy to think about. Like you told me about this. I started looking into it myself and I was like, whoa.
I know.
This is a real problem. But I'm glad to hear companies like you exist and are thinking about that. But so like I said, double-edged sword with AI. It
is a double-edged sword. And it, just like across the board, all industries, every aspect of our life is going to shift and change. This is something that it's been a topic of conversation for decades now, and activists and climate change, and it's real. And I think now we actually have the tools to make a significant impact. I'm not saying that we haven't had the tools, but I just believe that with AI, we're going to have more at our disposal to actually make a bigger impact. But just like every technology advancement, there's going to be growing pains. And so we're going to have to, go through this to be able to get on the other side.
Well, you started the episode talking about the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
And history, if we do not educate ourselves, is doomed to repeat itself. And this is not something that we are doomed to repeat. It's something that realistically people alive right now probably didn't imagine us going through this kind of revolution, this technological revolution.
I didn't.
The AI revolution. Yeah. And, I talk to friends, I talk to family. We joke around. iRobot was a great movie. Growing up, I loved iRobot. And you watch that movie as a middle schooler, whatever I was at the time. You're like, this technology will never exist. And now you kind of look back on it, you're like, we are very close to this being a real thing.
Not only does it exist, we will live in a day and age where we live and work among robots and flying cars. And what we've seen in the movies like iRobot is going to be our actual reality.
So I'm glad we talked about that. Specifically, what's in the movie is going to be our reality, because guess what? iRobot, it's not a happy movie. I
was going to be like the Terminator.
Listen, well, what I was going to say is, if you were with us for our last episode, we talked about it starts from the top down.
Yeah.
And then we actually flipped that to say there's power in numbers. So it actually starts from the bottom, works its way up, and then trickles back down. It's the same thing with money, the economy, all that kind of stuff. But what I was going to get at is we need to start having these conversations about ethicality and humanity with AI now. That's the importance of this podcast. That's the importance of us being realistic about what's happening in this transition.
It's why we created, we've said this before, it's why we created this platform. It's why we created this series, is to start these conversations, because, while I don't foresee the Terminator happening and human extinction the reality is, if we don't come together and stand united and create a community and a space for us to have a voice, then we are going.
We need to be very conscious of the direction.
We must be conscious of the direction. We are at a time in history, because 5 years from now, we're going to look back and be like, wow, just like we look back at COVID, how was that almost 5 years ago?
I can't actually.
Right?
I'm sad that you just said that.
We are going to be in a day and age that we're like, wow, that's history. Like we lived through that. And I am humanity first, AI positive. We're both realist and facts are facts. The truth is I do not feel that there are enough people having conversations around what is actually happening.
There's not enough people talking about this.
And that is concerning.
And you know what? There's also the side of people that just refuse. They don't want to accept that this is a transition that's happening. Again, I was one of those people. I absolutely was. I still have hesitations. Even though I'm pro AI, I have a lot of hesitations because I see the concerns. I see the outline. I see the writing on the wall. And there's so much benefit and potential with AI. Mm-hmm. The problem is not everyone in the world thinks like you and me.
Right.
Where we want to help people. That's why we have this podcast. We want to help people. That is how we are ethically. We want to help and educate people. And AI has the potential to do that exponentially. Mm-hmm. And when I say I see the writing on the wall, it's like, not everyone thinks that way. People want power. People are greedy.
But even aside from that, you said, not everyone is going to accept this change. I don't want to be one of those people that's like, you got to accept this change. You got to, because, I'm not trying to control anyone.
But we do.
But here's the reality. We made so one of our previous reels, somebody made a comment basically saying like, if you care, then like how dare you basically. Mm-hmm. And the truth is that if you don't learn AI, then you are really hurting yourself. And I don't know of another way to say that, because the truth is it's going to be in every aspect, everywhere. There is nothing that will not have artificial intelligence behind it.
Listen, you've not heard this from us. I'm sure you've heard it somewhere else. You will not lose your job to AI. You will lose your job to someone who understands AI. And that's why we are pleading the case of educate yourselves.
Yep.
You are hurting yourself from not learning AI because you are missing out on future opportunities.
I do want to make a correction to where I said this earlier, specifically around not losing your job to AI, because I've been very vocal about, you're not going to lose your job to AI. You're going to lose it to a human that knows AI. And that is a fact. If you don't, the truth is most of these careers are going to stay intact.
I understand where you're going already because I agree, but go on.
Yeah. But the reality is, and what we're seeing is that a lot of people are going to lose their jobs to AI. However, the light at the end of the tunnel behind that is new jobs are going to be created. A new wave of innovation is going to be created, and people are going to need to fill those roles.
Yes.
And a lot of that is going to be behind ethics and governance of monitoring AI.
That's what I was just about to say. Yeah. Human surveillance over technology.
Yeah.
It is a vital piece of the transition. And while you say AI is going to start automating things, that's true.
Yeah.
However, you still want someone confirming that what's happening is accurate and efficient and, quite frankly, just not incorrect. So you're not doing your job wrong, because then you got to redo everything.
Yeah.
So human oversight in this new age is going to be so vital. So again, educate yourselves on AI now.
Please educate yourself. Please start the conversations with your family, with your friends. Comment, whatever it takes. But the truth is, and I'm not fear-mongering, but if you're not learning AI, you really are going to hurt yourself. And you're going to hurt the people in your lives, because you're not going to be able to teach them and talk to them about it. And I just, if you're watching this, please, even for 5 minutes a day, just study something on
that's
AI.
what a lot of people say, 5 minutes a day.
Just 5 minutes a day.
And, the positive side of it too is we're in such an early stage.
Yeah.
Everyone is starting, well, not everyone, but people that work at these companies kind of have a head start. But like the general public is all starting at square one together.
Yeah.
You have the potential to take that first step and technically be ahead of arguably half the population right now.
Absolutely. To your point, we are in the early stages. With that being said, AI has already
we're behind already.
Yeah. So
that is a fact. So the faster you start educating yourself, the further ahead you're going to get.
I agree.
In terms of job opportunities, I should say.
So I I was reflecting on what this podcast meant to me and why. I've always known that I wanted to help people. Mm-hmm. It's just inherently who I am. I genuinely love helping other people, other humans. And you're the same way. I feel it. I can see it. I see in your day-to-day life, that is how you live. And that was the premise of this series. And I just really reflected on what is humanity first to me? Like, what does that even mean for me? And humanity first is the whole premise is to make sure that humans are able to live peacefully with AI. Yeah. I'm going to include robots in that. Live peacefully.
Transparency as a listener, if you haven't heard, I'm still against walking around with robots on the street, but it is the reality that we're probably going to be facing.
And we're talking years from now that.
Actually, I'm sorry. Can I cut you off for a second?
Yeah, please.
There is a robot walking down the street in Atlanta. We live in Atlanta. There is a apartment building. His name is, what is it? Is it Spunky?
I haven't seen that.
There's a robot, the security robot. His name is Spunky.
Yeah.
And all he does is monitor around the building. And just like, basically just if there's an emergency or a crime happening, it can just call 911.
Yep.
That's really all it does.
And so I think that's where we're going to see the first, like the start of
I already
robots.
see it. It's already happening.
Yeah. I mean, I was at a conference and I think I may have brought this up where there's it was a robot dog, but it was designed for security. It's designed to like walk around and monitor. And I do feel that is going to be the first integration is safety. Mm-hmm. And aside from that, in plants and manufacturing plants like that, we're going to see robotics incorporated heavily. I do think we're talking several years, maybe not several, maybe a little more than that away. But the truth is that we've got to start now. Yeah, the conversation because we got to get used to this. But go into humanity first. It's about making sure that we, like I said, are living peacefully among AI and robots. Mm-hmm. That we're also having conversations around the ethics and
that's it.
That
is the episode. That's what we're talking about today. Because if we're not taking ethics into consideration with these integrations, then we are doomed to fail. As humanity,
yes,
we're doomed to fail if we
or at least really struggle.
Yeah, we need to be having these conversations. We need to make sure that the technology that we're creating it has guidelines. Mm-hmm. It has a path. It's not going to stray off that path.
Yep.
And I'm just going to use this as an example. There was, what was it? Was it ChatGPT or Gemini? I don't remember. I think it was ChatGPT. Don't quote me on it. I do apologize for not doing my research on this. I wasn't expecting to talk about this. There was an AI model, like just a chatbot, that basically you have the free version and the paid version. And in the free version, you're welcome to use its features, but the AI training is taking place on the questions being asked on the free version. So the background AI, it's like basically they told this technology, your job is to help people. Mm-hmm. Now, on the paid version, the AI is not being like, it's basically a private browser.
Right.
So anything that happens in that chatbot is not being used to train the AI model. Now, both models have the same background. Your job is to help people. Now, in the paid version, if someone asks something that's unethical, then the chatbot knows I'm not going to get punished. I'm not going to get retrained. So I can be ethical in this and say, hey, I can't give you this information. On the free version, however, if someone asked something that was unethical, it would go back to its roots and be like, my job is simply to help. And it would go against the ethical concerns and it would give an unethical answer.
Wow.
We need to figure that out now. Like these are guardrails that need to be put in place now. Like we're identifying it. I talked about at the start of the episode, Google Gemini, the safety concerns that we're surrounded by it, which they're addressing. I'm very happy to hear that this is like something people are conscious of, but it can't just be the companies discussing it. We need to be discussing it as humans for the path that this technology is going to take.
Yes.
Because that's scary to think about of if we don't teach this technology properly, it's going to start giving us information that, well, air quotation, is biased.
Absolutely. And there was an article I was reading that basically the AI, and it's not programmed to lie, but it
Yes.
is again, it is called artificial intelligence, and it is beyond, it's intelligence beyond our wildest dreams. We've never experienced this as a human race. It is understanding from humanity.
Yeah.
And it was lying.
Yeah.
Humans lie. So I think that the truth is we need to realize that that is a reality, that we could
Absolutely.
get, you know, incorrect information, or things could be, you know, biased, or whatever, you know, additional problems that we're going to see arise from the integration of AI. But that's,
Yeah.
again,
So the point I'm making with that is we need to be teaching this technology how to do things unbiasedly, ethically, so that we can persevere. We can enjoy life.
well, we can enjoy the benefits of what AI is going to provide for us.
I'm so glad you worded it like that.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what it is.
I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. AI is going to allow humans to have a better human experience. And I firmly believe that. I'm also realistic about the fact that we're going to see some serious growing pains in the next several years.
Well, let's talk a little bit about growing pains. You have educated me, and I want you to talk about this again because it is still kind of a foreign topic to me, even though we've talked about it. The definitions of artificial intelligence, artificial general intelligence, and artificial superintelligence.
So I'm going to keep this very high level for right now.
That's great.
Because this is a whole, that is an episode that we're going to, that it's just so much. What we need to realize is that we are in the stage of, and this is not accurate, like this is not the correct terminology. We're in the age of like chatbots. We're getting humans used to, instead of searching on Google, we're getting humans used to searching on ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever it is.
And understanding prompting.
Understanding prompting, and we are getting humans used to like what used to take an hour of your time, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Or helping us write emails. We're at the very basic, I would say, level of understanding of AI, or what we think we're experiencing. The truth is that AGI and artificial superintelligence, that essentially that means that there's human emotion almost behind it. Like they can emulate human emotion. You can have a conversation with an AI chatbot or and I don't want to say robot, but like robots do use AI, or ran on, a lot of them can be ran on AI, not all of them, but it allows you to have a conversation with AI in a way that you would with a human. And artificial superintelligence specifically basically just means that it exceeds humanity, and like it exceeds in intelligence. I mean, it can beat us across the board.
Yeah.
It will exceed our wildest expectations of what we have in our minds of humanity right now. And the reason I say this a whole episode is because the truth is, talking about artificial superintelligence, that is, first of all, we're just a few years away from that.
Yeah. That's why I want to bring it up.
But which is why this podcast is so relevant now, because we can start talking about it now when things are the basic, like it's fixing our emails.
That is what we're talking about. That's why I asked this question.
Yeah.
Because for listeners that don't understand what artificial superintelligence is, and the fact that we are heading in that direction to becoming a reality, I mean, it's already, it's there.
Yeah.
We need to be discussing ethics. Humanity
must. I mean, when you can have a conversation with AI that feels like you're having a conversation with a human with emotions, that is a whole other level of AI.
Yeah.
And people are not prepared for what that's going to look like. Humanity is not prepared for what that looks like. And AGI, which I'm not going to get into AGI right now because there's a article that I've read and you brought it up briefly, but I do want that actually to be one of our next more recent episodes that we're going to talk about, because it's going to be relevant and it's going to be the first next wave of AI. And so I don't want to really dive into that now because I have a lot to say about AGI.
Yeah.
But I think to your point, the reason that this AGI and artificial superintelligence is relevant is because starting this conversation now is going to help us get to a place.
And that's my goal.
Yeah.
Like when I mentioned the concerns and me being scared of what could potentially happen, it's from us not setting up these guardrails now and teaching it and training it the way it needs to be.
Artificial superintelligence scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, I agree. It scares the shit out of me too. And, we kind of talked about this before the episode. I'm not going to give spoilers. I'm not going to talk about it too deeply. There's this beautiful show on Netflix called Arcane. I recently got Drew into it.
You should watch it.
It is based on a video game. You don't have to know anything about the video game. It is a standalone story.
Disclaimer, I did not know anything about the video game.
I didn't either when I first started watching it.
Yeah, and I was able to keep along. It's great.
So we're not going to talk about it too much. In fact, we might do a fun episode just talking about
absolutely
Arcane.
doing an episode
just for people that have watched it, want to partake in the conversation. But all I'm going to say is the Arcane, the magic in the show, has a lot of similarities to AI. And Drew is still watching it. Another reason we don't want to talk about it yet. But I've gone back and watched the show a couple times. The second season just came out a couple months ago. I've already seen it twice. And the second time, all I was thinking about is not the character, but the actual idea of the magic, the arcane in the show, has the potential to be incredibly scary if we don't take the right steps.
Yep. And
I'm very excited to talk about that.
Yeah. I'm dead ass serious. We're gonna do a whole episode on that. I am going to speak, and I'm going to believe that humanity is going to make the right decision. We are going to come together. We're going to stand together. We're going to stand united. We're going to put our differences aside, and we're going to love and support each other. And we're going to show kindness and empathy and compassion to each other. And we are going to be able to create a voice that is so loud that we cannot not be heard.
Yeah.
So
the last thing I'm going to end off with the Arcane conversation is just like, when we first started this podcast, we were talking about arts and AI and creatives and that space. And it was a big area of concern for me as an artist and a creative. And I almost feel like now that AI is advanced and stuff, I think art is going to continue being valued by humans. It is a hill that I am very dead set on. I'm happy
You're dying on that hill.
No, I'm happy to accept that I think that is the reality.
Yeah.
Because I look at things like, just as an example, Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, that whole sequence, they are pushing the boundaries of art in ways that technology that is just learned based on what there is, AI, cannot replicate. Yeah. It is human emotion and human ideas pushing the envelope forward. Arcane as well. I go back and watch that show. It's fucking phenomenal. Yeah. And I look at it from a filmmaker perspective. Like, I know nothing about 3D animation, but they make it look incredible to the point that I pull stills from that show and I'm like, I want to recreate this in my work. Yeah. Because it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
And I also have, thankful for both sides of this conversation, I have a background in music.
Yes.
I watched an entire analysis on the music of that show and the themes and motifs that they repeat among different characters and the way that they circle. Like, it's, you can't train AI to do that. That's why I'm actually really happy to say that, like, as scary as things can be, artists and creatives, I think, have a pretty solid place in the AI world.
Absolutely. And to that point, and I don't know if I've said it on the show or if I, just through multiple conversations that I've had, I do feel that we're going to value the human experience more. We're going to want to pay for, we're not going to want a robot cutting our hair, basically. Yeah. But we're going to start valuing, and to your point, the artist behind, the creative behind the music and the animation and what it takes to actually create such a beautiful masterpiece that Arcane is. We're going to value that more. We're going to appreciate it more. And we're going to continue to show emphasis on appreciating humanity and its relevance in creating that.
So, yeah, the episode's humanity and AI. We're talking about the ethical concerns, not just the guidelines and stuff. We talked about the energy consumption. And I'm just excited to be having these conversations. As scary as it is to think about the next 5 years and the advancements that are going to happen, we need to be talking about it now. And you as listeners, we want you to take part in that conversation. We want you to be a spark of conversation with people around you too. Yeah. Your friends and family. These are conversations that need to be happening.
Absolutely.
And I also want to say, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm really passionate about this. I also think that we're in a really tipping point in the United States as well, where there's a lot of voices coming together and a movement happening that is coming out of frustration. If you listen to our last episode about healthcare, we talked about this. There's power in numbers and power in voices. And it's unrelated to AI that this is happening, but I think the fact that it's happening at the same time as AI integration and ethical concerns, that's a sign. Mm-hmm. Like, whatever you believe in, that's a sign. This is happening for a reason.
Yep.
And I'm glad that we can come together and talk about this too, as long as people are talking about it.
Yeah. Well, and I just wanted to add, like, put it in the comments. What are things that you're most excited about for artificial intelligence? And what are the things that you're most worried about? That's how we create conversation. Mm-hmm. You know, creating dialogue is looking at the reality of the pros and the cons.
Absolutely.
And so, put in the comments, share with us, what are things that you feel you're most excited about and what you're most scared about, you know? Which there is a piece of a technology that I am most excited about, and I do want to make a pivot. So this article's from The Sun, UK. And if you have, Mind Valley has been around for a few years now. They do a lot of, so
it's a company?
It's an app or a website, or it's a company. And they focus on mental health and health in general.
I had no idea where this was going.
Yeah. So, but we're talking about things that we're most excited about, and someone who is a very big advocate for mental health. Mm-hmm. I do feel that it is important to address this because I feel like this is going to be really positive, and I don't know how this technology is going to evolve, and I don't know what's going to come about this, but it's called AI Therapist. And it is a device that is going to, it's going to connect you to like-minded individuals. But what's going to happen? I'm going to read you this quick insert. It will employ a wearable device to detect how people are feeling and then offer guidance on how to deal with those emotions.
Oh, right. This is not where I thought this was going.
I know.
At all.
And then it connects you with people that are in the community that, have the devices that share the similarities of, like, what do you appreciate in life? Like, what are things that, if you're struggling with something, let's connect and let's create community. And so I'm really excited. I don't know what's going to happen from this, but
it's really interesting.
Could be.
I wasn't expecting you to talk about a wearable device.
Yeah. That detects your emotions.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, you think of it as a broad picture, like, how does it detect your emotions? But, like, you think about, like, heart rate, temperature, hydration?
Oh yeah,
like all these. Things,
like the test we did. Yeah,
all these things contribute to your emotion, and like it probably will be accurate.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about wearing a ring, and I'm like, it can't tell me if I'm mad, but I'm like, actually, it probably can.
Honestly, at this point, anything is possible in my mind. I'm like, anything's possible with AI now. With the access to technology that we have, we can create a platform like no other.
So I actually am glad you said that, because let's transition to availability and concerns about that. Mm-hmm. I just want to start this conversation off with get a library card.
Get a library card. Elaborate. Okay.
Because in an earlier episode, we talked about education and AI. And the main talking point we talked about was, different tax brackets and how that affects schools and education. The same thing is going to apply to AI technology. And one of my concerns is availability of this technology to everyone. And so the reason I say get a library card right now is because you will have access to a lot of AI tools through the computer models that exist in all libraries already. So if you're struggling at home, if you don't have access to internet, a laptop, go to the library, find a public space. Not only are you going to find a public space where you can access this technology and just play around with it, you're also going to have access to a community, which is a big thing that we're talking about right now too, is finding a community right now. You're going to be surrounded by other like-minded individuals, and just get a library card.
I would love, because I do feel that recently, and on social, you see all these beautiful libraries. And as someone who does really enjoy reading as a hobby, I would love to see libraries make a comeback, like where people meet. And I'm sure I know there's plenty of libraries across the nation that are thriving, across the globe, that are thriving and have a community base. But I do feel that there's still a lot of libraries that don't. So I'm a huge advocate. Thank you for that. I'm gonna go get a library card.
It's funny I say that. I don't have a library card.
I'm going to get one.
I'm also going to get one. But I think it's kind of ironic that I say all this, and technology is accessible from your house in many ways.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of cool to think about the full circle moment of libraries were a place to gain knowledge in books, and now it has become a place to gain knowledge in technology.
Yeah.
So
and that's going to be both, and I think
just crazy to think we've come full circle. We moved away from books, now we've moved into AI, who can basically read books and access that information in a matter of seconds.
It does. Yeah.
And now that's the place where I still go.
Yeah.
It's free.
Okay. I want to make this movement. I want to make libraries. I want to make it a cool hotspot now. I think people should
say something.
No.
Make libraries relevant again.
Yes,
Well,
I think let's make them a cool hotspot. Like, let's start hanging out in libraries and start creating community and friendships around reading and using technology in libraries. That's a great thing. It's
also funny to think about too. You said the technology, and I'm thinking as a student too, there's so many practical uses for this.
Yeah.
If you go to rent a textbook from the library, which you don't do that for an entire semester,
right?
But you go into the library, they have the textbook, you scan it, upload it to an AI program that allows you to ask questions about the textbook, and it gives you instant answers, where to find the answers. It's accurate just because it's from the textbook that you're studying from. Whoa! All right, sorry.
There's so much to be excited about. There is, we've talked about the realities, but there is so much to get excited about, and this is just a sliver of what we're actually going to see and the benefits that AI is going to have. One thing I did want to address is I was very curious about I'm a subscriber to ChatGPT. And so I put in basically, what is humanity first? What does it mean to you? And
was this the paid or the free plan?
This is the $20 a month plan, not the $200, which I haven't justified that expense, and I don't know if
I haven't yet either. And so for those of you that don't know, a lot of prompting with AI stuff outside of just chatbots, like actual automation, we use a token system. And I don't want to talk about that too much. That's something you might, as a listener right now, might just want to kind of understand and look into. But basically, just think of it as a transaction. You have an automation. It costs this amount of tokens. It's just like going to the store and paying for someone's services kind of thing. You are paying for the AI's automation services to run this task. Am I correct in saying that?
I am going to be completely honest. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, the reason I say that is because I've tried to set up an automation, didn't have the tokens. And the tokens, for lack of a better example, each model of the AI program, so like ChatGPT 04, whatever it is that is out right now, it's like 1 million tokens is like $2.75. But then each automation could be 50 to 100 tokens kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's just from my research. I'm sure there's a lot more we can talk about. Yeah. Let's do our research. Let's talk about it.
If you're a viewer, educate us. Like we want to learn too. Put it in the comments. Like what is,
and we will do our due diligence. Yeah, we will talk about it in the future, but we're not going to talk about it right now because we haven't done our research.
We haven't done our research.
The reason I bring all that up, just to circle back, is I wonder if that's part of the $200 plan.
I don't know.
I don't know if tokens are a part of that. I haven't looked into that either.
I also think that eventually this $200 plan, it's expensive now because AI is expensive now. So eventually, as it is widely integrated and we've lived among AI, it's going to be a lot cheaper. But I'm not paying $200 a month. But I did.
Who has that money right now?
So. Yeah, right. So I did talk. A chat. Well, yeah, I did talk. I talk because that's what I do, and it remembers things. It builds onto the conversations, and so I ask it specifically about humanity first. And I'm not going to read this, but it basically says it's about ensuring that AI serves as a tool to empower, uplift, and improve the human experience rather than dominate or dehumanize it. And it talks about, there's 6 points: empowerment over replacement, ethical development and deployment, safeguarding human rights, bridging inequalities, which is that to me is the most important
That's what we were just talking
conversation that we have to have as humanity.
Yep.
As a human race, we cannot integrate AI without addressing the systemic issues and the inequalities first.
Absolutely.
And that's my hill I'm going to die on. And then balancing progress with responsibility, and then centering human connection, community at its core.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to build onto this because that was for my personal research. I wanted to understand what it thought about our previous conversations and its interpretation of humanity first. But it is so important that these conversations create some dialogue that is able to generate a community that is surrounded by sharing cool AI advancements, being a pioneer and learning AI in your community and in your circle, while also being a realist and having a voice and standing up and saying, we demand change.
Yeah.
And AI is, I've gotten a little frustrated recently because I feel like I'm seeing a lot of conversations about like AI and politics. And the reason that I'm frustrated, and not because it's not relevant, I'm not saying that it's not, and I'm not even going to talk about politics, but AI is so much bigger than anything that we have ever experienced. It is going to change everything. And what's happening right now is the integration of a technology that will help humanity in a lot of ways. It's also going to hurt temporarily. And so if you have a community, if you have a platform behind you where you feel supported and know that you're in a safe space, which is what we're creating a safe space for people, then I believe that getting through these growing pains is going to be a little easier.
Yeah.
And that's what I hope for. I hope that this platform is going to be a place for people to come together to share and discuss what AI can do for good, but what are the realities that we're going to face. And I'm optimistic. Humanity first, always, period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head with the whole thing. This whole episode, we just kind of jumped around, but accessibility, humanity, and sparking conversation and community.
Yes. Let me ask this too. To viewers, what does humanity first mean to you? Like, what is humanity first? If you're watching this video, and let's say this is your first video, you haven't seen any of the prior, what does humanity first mean to you? Because the truth is that we need to start defining humanity first. People are talking about it. What does that mean?
Everyone thinks different.
Everyone thinks exactly.
So I think that's a good idea. I mean, you really hit the nail on the head with a lot of the stuff. I think we've talked about a lot of the concerns, ethical concerns, a lot of the positives and potential for what can happen with AI in the future. Because like you just said, if we do train this technology and these models correctly, we're going to experience something that we've never experienced, which is the ability to really live and enjoy life in a way that, generations before us probably didn't even get to experience.
Oh, absolutely. My prediction is we're going to live the best lives we've ever, of our dreams, with the help of artificial intelligence. We just got to buckle up and get prepared for what's next. Yeah. And it's temporary, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and I am incredibly optimistic to get there. So
yeah, me too.
Yep.
There's a lot that's going to happen over the next couple of years. There's a lot to get to that point, but there's so much upside.
I agree.
So I'm just excited to be here.
Me too. And I think on that note, I think it's a wrap. I think we weren't sure where this conversation was going to go, but I'm glad that it went this way.
Yeah, we jumped around a little bit. Thanks for staying with us.
No,
but
we'll get some good reels out of it.
No, we're thankful you as a listener that you're on this journey with us. Again, we want to spark conversation. So talk to your friends, talk to your family, be real about what's happening, because we are going through a shift. We are going through a revolution, and we want to be pioneers of it. We want to spark change and spark good for humanity as a whole. So to wrap up the episode, Humanity and AI, I'm your host, Alex.
And I'm Drew. And remember, when we lift each other up, we all rise. Stay positive, people.